The sky above Zimbabwe shimmered with the soft glow of dawn. I had heard whispers of a machine that defied every rule we thought we knew about flight, Maxwell Chikumbutso's self-powered plane. They said it was impossible, yet here I stood at the edge of the airstrip, staring at a sleek aircraft that promised to soar without conventional fuel, without charging, and without limits. The fuselage gleamed under the early light, its streamlined design both futuristic and purposeful. Wires, meters, and sensors dotted its frame, blinking faintly like the heartbeat of a machine alive with potential. Around me, a small team of engineers and journalists murmured, some skeptical, some wide-eyed with anticipation. I stepped closer, drawn by the subtle hum that seemed to emanate from the very core of the plane. There was no engine roar, no smell of fuel. Only a soft, steady pulse, almost alive, vibrating through the asphalt beneath my feet. With a careful hand, I observed Maxwell perform the pre-flight checks. The plane systems powered on seamlessly, energy flowing without interruption, without connection to any external source. Lights blinked on the dashboard, displays rising steadily, showing outputs that conventional physics would struggle to explain. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. Maxwell moved to the cockpit and initiated the sequence. The aircraft shivered slightly, then lifted its nose, responding to the unseen energy coursing through it. Slowly, gracefully, it rolled along the runway, smooth as glass, the hum intensifying with each meter. I grabbed my camera, trying to capture the impossible in real time. The plane accelerated, faster than anyone expected, gliding along the strip with a precision that seemed unreal. Dust kicked up behind it, catching the first golden rays of sunlight, creating a faint glowing trail. Spectators gasped. Some whispered disbelief, others cheered quietly, and all eyes were fixed on the aircraft as it prepared for liftoff. I connected a few instruments to measure output, and each reading confirmed what I already suspected. This wasn't just a plane. It was a revolution. As it approached the end of the runway, Maxwell nudged the controls. The plane lifted effortlessly, ascending without the roar of conventional engines, gliding into the sky on energy that seemed limitless. Clouds passed beneath its wings, and for a moment, time itself felt suspended. I realized that what we were witnessing was not merely a flight, it was a proof of concept for a new era of aviation. No fuel, no emissions. A self-sustaining energy source capable of powering human flight beyond what anyone dared imagine. The plane climbed higher, wings cutting through the air with silent grace. I watched instruments track speed, altitude, and output, numbers climbing beyond expectations. The wind rushed past, carrying with it a sense of possibility that made the hairs on my arms stand on end. I grabbed my microphone, whispering in disbelief. This is beyond anything we've seen. A plane that needs no fuel, no batteries, just energy flowing endlessly, effortlessly. We are witnessing history in motion. Then, Maxwell executed a slow banking maneuver, turning the aircraft over the horizon, the sun reflecting off its sleek fuselage. Cameras tried to capture it, drones hovered above, but no lens could fully convey the sheer elegance and audacity of what was happening. And just as I thought the moment had reached its peak, the plane accelerated further, performing a series of maneuvers that tested its limits and demonstrated the raw power of self-sustaining flight. Every move was precise, every turn smooth, and every second defied conventional expectations of what an aircraft could achieve. The plane leveled out, soaring above the landscape, its wings casting long shadows over the rolling fields below. I could barely take my eyes off it. Every second in the sky was a testament to what human ingenuity, combined with limitless energy, could achieve. Maxwell initiated a series of high-speed maneuvers. The plane banked sharply, gliding through the air with incredible stability. There was no roar, no turbulence. The energy flowed perfectly, as if the aircraft and the invisible power source were in complete harmony. I zoomed in with my camera, capturing the cockpit instruments. The energy output remained steady, constant, and far beyond what conventional aviation thought possible. Even as the plane executed tight turns and climbs, The readings never wavered. Below, a small group of engineers and journalists tracked the flight. Some held their phones in disbelief. Others simply stared, mouths agape. Every maneuver challenged everything we had been taught about energy, aerodynamics, and human possibility. Maxwell then pushed the aircraft into a gentle dive, the plane slicing through the air with breathtaking precision. The sun glinted off its surface, creating streaks of light that followed the wings. It looked almost like a bird, yet more advanced, more perfect, a machine alive with energy. I noticed the instruments showing increased efficiency as the plane accelerated, yet there was no extra input. The device powering it didn't falter. It didn't overheat. It didn't pause. It simply flowed, seamlessly, endlessly. Then came the most daring test. Maxwell increased altitude, climbing above the low clouds, reaching levels that conventional small aircraft would struggle to sustain without refueling. The plane responded flawlessly, cutting through the air like a knife, its silent hum resonating even at this height. I adjusted the drone cameras, trying to capture the scale of the flight. From above, the aircraft seemed almost ethereal, gliding effortlessly against the backdrop of the horizon, a symbol of human innovation and the promise of a future unbound by traditional limitations. I could feel the tension and awe in the air. Everyone watching knew they were witnessing more than a flight. They were witnessing history. Every turn, every climb, every moment of effortless flight was proof that what had been called impossible was now reality. Maxwell leveled the aircraft and began a slow descent, approaching the airstrip where it had all begun. The glow from its core reflected off the wings, casting shimmering light over the runway. Spectators held their breath, cameras ready, hearts racing. As the plane neared touchdown, it slowed with perfect precision, wheels barely brushing the runway before it glided smoothly to a complete stop. There was a beat of silence, then a collective gasp, followed by applause, whispers, and awestruck reactions. Even in its stationary position, the aircraft seemed alive, humming softly, glowing faintly, as if acknowledging the impossible journey it had just completed. I realized that this wasn't just a demonstration of flight. It was a showcase of limitless energy, precision engineering, and visionary thinking. The hum of the plane's core settled into a steady rhythm, almost like a heartbeat, as the spectators slowly approached. Cameras still rolled, capturing the faint glow that lingered beneath the wings. The air was thick with a mixture of disbelief, admiration, and awe. I walked closer, studying the instruments. Every reading confirmed what my eyes already knew. The plane had flown effortlessly on self-generated energy, without fuel, without external power, without compromise. It was more than a technological marvel, it was a paradigm shift. The engineers exchanged glances, their skepticism replaced by cautious excitement. "This changes everything," one whispered. Another nodded slowly, unable to hide the wonder in their eyes. Even journalists, usually immune to shock, found themselves scrambling to capture every detail, realizing they were witnessing history. Maxwell stepped out of the cockpit, calm and composed, yet there was a faint smile that hinted at pride and anticipation. He gestured toward the aircraft, letting it rest in the sunlight like a trophy of innovation. I could see it reflected in the crowd's eyes, the understanding that this machine was more than metal and circuits. It was a symbol of limitless possibility. I looked around, imagining the applications. Planes powered by self-sustaining energy, vehicles that needed no charging stations, homes running on continuous power. The world as we knew it could be transformed, and this flight was just the beginning. A gentle breeze swept across the airstrip, carrying with it the faint hum of the machine, almost as if the plane itself was alive, responding to the curiosity and awe around it. The golden light of late afternoon glinted off the wings, creating a cinematic tableau, a machine that had conquered doubt, a vision that had become reality. I filmed the aircraft from multiple angles, capturing the elegance, the power, the subtle glow that set it apart from anything conventional. The runway stretched behind it, but in my mind, the horizon was limitless. Maxwell approached me, his expression calm, but eyes sharp. "This is just the start," he said quietly. Energy has no boundaries. Flight has no limits. And the world is ready to see what's possible. As I stepped back, letting the plane take its quiet, glowing presence, I realized that what I had witnessed today would be remembered for generations. This was more than flight. It was a glimpse into a future where energy, motion, and human ingenuity are boundless. The sun began to set, casting long golden shadows across the runway. The aircraft's soft glow mingled with the fading light, creating a scene that looked almost otherworldly, a perfect blend of innovation, possibility, and the dawn of a new era. As the plane rested on the runway, I couldn't help but imagine the ripple effect this flight would have around the world. News outlets, engineers, innovators, and skeptics alike would soon be forced to confront the reality. A machine powered entirely by self-sustaining energy had just defied every expectation of modern aviation. I turned the camera toward the crowd. Faces reflected awe, disbelief, and excitement. Hands that had been poised over phones and cameras now trembled slightly, unsure whether to celebrate or simply absorb the enormity of what had happened. The air was electric, not from the plane, but from the collective realization that they had witnessed the impossible. Maxwell walked along the side of the aircraft, inspecting it casually, almost as if it were an everyday machine. Yet the glow from its core told a different story, a story of limitless energy, untapped potential, and the rewriting of conventional rules. I captured a wide shot of the plane against the setting sun. Its sleek silhouette glowed faintly, the shadows stretching behind it like a promise of future possibilities. The runway stretched endlessly, and beyond it, I could almost see the future. Fleets of self-powered planes, vehicles, and machines revolutionizing transportation, industry, and daily life. Then came the final demonstration, subtle, yet symbolic. Maxwell activated a small panel on the plane, and the energy output surged slightly, lighting up a set of connected devices, drones, lights, and instruments. Every piece functioned flawlessly, drawing only from the plane's self-generated power. It was a small, quiet proof, yet its message was monumental. This technology could scale, and it could change the world. I filmed the plane from multiple angles, capturing the faint glow, the reflective fuselage, and the horizon stretching endlessly behind it. The cinematic effect was surreal. This was no longer just a plane on a runway. It was a statement, a symbol, and a glimpse into a future where energy scarcity no longer dictated possibility. The sun dipped further, painting the sky in dramatic hues of orange, pink, and purple. The plane's glow blended seamlessly with the twilight, creating a cinematic tableau that would linger in memory long after the cameras were turned off. I stepped back, taking in the full scene. The crowd was silent, awestruck, processing the magnitude of what they had just witnessed. I realized that today wasn't just about testing a plane. It was about witnessing the beginning of a new era in energy and aviation. Maxwell approached, nodding subtly, as if acknowledging the enormity of the moment. "We've only just begun," he said. And in that moment, it became clear. This flight wasn't the end. It was a starting line for innovation, for energy, and for a future that had, until now, seemed impossible. The camera captured one final wide shot, the plane resting on the runway, glowing faintly under the vast, limitless sky. The hum of energy seemed to fade softly into the twilight, leaving behind a feeling of awe, wonder, and the undeniable certainty that the world had changed. As the twilight deepened, whispers spread through the crowd. Engineers and journalists huddled in small groups, comparing notes, debating what they had just witnessed. Even the most skeptical were unable to deny it. Maxwell's plane had flown entirely on self-generated energy, and the implications were staggering. I panned my camera across the airstrip, capturing reactions, hands gripping phones, eyes wide in disbelief, some faces slowly breaking into smiles of astonishment. The realization was dawning. This was not just a test flight. This was a turning point. Maxwell remained near the aircraft, calm but alert, as if anticipating the questions and curiosity that would flood the world in the coming days. He gestured toward the glowing fuselage, and I noticed the faint pulse of energy still radiating from the core, almost like the plane was breathing, alive, responsive, limitless. I imagined the first news headlines: "Impossible flight achieved. Self-powered aircraft defies physics. Maxwell Chikumbutso changes aviation forever." Yet no article, no photo, could fully capture the nuance, the elegance, or the audacity of what had unfolded in real time. A gentle breeze rustled nearby trees, carrying with it the faint hum from the plane's core. It was subtle, almost serene, yet it vibrated with the promise of a future unbound by conventional energy limitations. I knew that even after today, the story was only beginning. What had been achieved here would inspire engineers, innovators, and dreamers around the globe. I focused the camera on the glowing wings, the sleek fuselage, and the runway stretching infinitely behind it. Shadows stretched long across the airstrip, blending with the fading sunlight. Every line, every contour, every glimmer of light spoke of precision, vision, and revolutionary potential. Then, as if on cue, Maxwell activated a small test device connected to the aircraft. The device powered instantly, flawlessly, drawing from the plane's core energy. Lights blinked, fans spun, and a small motor whirred to life, all without any external input. The demonstration was simple, yet the message was monumental. This technology could scale, and it could change the world. I captured a final drone shot, the aircraft resting majestically on the runway, bathed in the glow of twilight. Beyond the airstrip, the horizon seemed endless, a metaphor for the limitless possibilities that awaited humanity if this technology was embraced. And in that quiet, awe-filled moment, I realized this flight, this machine, this glimpse of the future was not just about aviation. It was about human potential, energy freedom, and the audacity to imagine the impossible. The plane rested quietly on the runway, its faint glow blending with the last rays of the setting sun. The hum of energy had softened to a gentle pulse, a subtle reminder of the limitless power contained within. The air was filled with awe as spectators, journalists, and engineers processed what they had witnessed. Even skeptics were speechless, their disbelief replaced by wonder. Cameras continued to roll, drones hovered overhead, and phones captured angles that no words could fully describe. Every glance toward the aircraft reflected the same thought: history had just been made. Maxwell approached the plane, calm and composed, his eyes betraying a quiet pride. "This is only the beginning," he said, voice steady, almost whispering. "Energy has no boundaries. Flight has no limits. And now, the world will see what's possible." I panned the camera across the scene, the sleek fuselage glinting in the fading sunlight, the runway stretching endlessly behind it, the sky painted in breathtaking hues of orange, pink, and purple. It was cinematic perfection, the perfect blend of human ingenuity, audacious vision, and the promise of a new era. As night fell, the plane's glow slowly dimmed, leaving only the memory of what had transpired. This was more than a demonstration. It was a statement, a glimpse into a future where energy scarcity no longer dictated possibility, where the impossible was no longer a limit, but an invitation. They said it was impossible. They laughed, they doubted, they dismissed it. And yet, here it stands, a machine that defies expectation, a flight that defies convention, a vision that reminds us the future belongs to those who dare to imagine the impossible. The camera pulled back for one final wide shot, the aircraft alone on the runway, faintly glowing under the twilight sky, a symbol of innovation, potential, and limitless possibility. The hum of energy faded softly, leaving behind a feeling of awe, hope, and the undeniable certainty that the world would never be the same. Fade to black.